we won't find even one person that didn't suffer in his life from stress, depression, anxiety, or other undesirable emotions. But still, there are those who suffer more. And usually, those who suffer more have something very unique. They are very talented and they want to bring their talent to the world, but they feel that the world does not want to listen to them. That's why they are lonely. They want to influence, but nobody, as they feel like that. It's a very subjective feeling. They feel that nobody receive what they have to bring to the world. That's why I feel lonely, because I want to influence. I could be lonely even in a place, even when I'm married. Usually we think about loneliness when you are alone and you have no friends and you have no family and you are old maybe, but you could be very lonely even in your marriage and even when you have children, because you feel you have something to bring to the world. You want to influence, but nobody, as you think, nobody want to receive from you. And that's why I feel there is no hope and I'm not good enough and everything is dark and very heavy and I feel weakness and it's very hard for me to do even small things. It's very hard to me to push myself forward and to do things. And that's why we want to upload this series. This series is about this, this plan is about, it's a booster, I call it. It's a booster to get out of depression. I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a psychiatrist, but I am dealing and learning and teaching Jewish psychology for more than 15 years now. And I think Jewish psychology is something very unique to bring to the world, something very unique to bring to us. And the most important thing that it has to bring to the world, it's not a replacement to a clinical treatment, but it could help us to understand what is happening inside. Why do I feel anxiety? Where is the depression comes from? And to understand the mechanism of my inner traits, inner characteristic, inner powers, and why sometimes it's very hard for me to get out of the bed and to do things, and where does it comes from? And most important, I think Jewish psychology has a lot of tools and advices and ideas how to get out of it, how to understand yourself from an inner perspective, and then to push yourself out of this place. So I want to upload this series and to share with you those ideas. And the first thing that we have, the first thing that we have to understand, I can reach a hand. Jewish psychology reach a hand. There are those ideas that they are there, and you can reach a hand, but nobody will help you, and you will never get out of the situation. Nobody will overcome if he will not have his own will, if he will not reach his own hand, and he will be able to, to succeed. Firstly, to want, to have a desire, to have a will, to get out of the situation, because nobody will help you if you won't help yourself, and nobody would be able, to push you forward. Doesn't matter how good will be the tools and the ideas and how great they will be and how they will be easy to implement. Still, if you won't be in charge on yourself, and if you won't take the decision, and it's the first understanding, and if you won't have the will, everything starts with the will. The will is like an arrow that directs all our powers, all our inner powers. And without will, nobody will succeed to do nothing. And the first question that we have to deal with is, how can we awake the will to overcome depression? Because usually when you have depression, you feel so weak. You don't have the power to do nothing. And when you are doing it, you feel like, oh, I want to stay in bed and everything. It's very hard for me to open the window in order that the light will illuminate the room. It's like I want it dark, and I usually want that people will live with me alone. I want to be with myself and to talk about myself. And it's a very egocentric movement. And that like I want to be with myself, in myself. I don't want to get out. I don't want that somebody will tell me, oh, you are good, you can get out of it, you will succeed. That's why the first rule is that I have to discover the will. I have to develop the will. And it's not easy. And it's the first assignment to develop the will to overcome those undesirable emotions and this depression. And only when I have the will, I will be able to understand where it comes from. Why do I suffer from depression? Why it comes to me right now? What happened? And this is the most important understanding. But before I even start, I have to work on my will. And there are a few ways to awake my inner will. First way is to list the damages. I can tell myself, whoa, if I will stay in this situation, I will pay a physical price for sure, because depression influence my physical and mental situation. And if I will be in this, all the diseases comes from undesirable emotions like stress, like anxiety, and we will talk about them. We will understand what them, and I think first condition in order to go through in this learning of the what Jewish psychology has to bring to our understanding about depression and anxiety and undesirable emotions is to forget a bit the way we interpret those words, those meanings, and to try to understand them from the perspective that we will offer. And it's a bit a different perspective that is more connected to the role of those emotions in your body, in your soul, the way you act, and it's like an inner perspective. And I told you at the beginning, the most beneficial, the most important thing that Jewish psychology has to bring to our understanding of our life and soul is what is the anatomy of the soul, how all the organs of the soul are working together and alone, and why I have a blockage in one or another place in my soul. Let's get back to the point. The point was, how can I arouse a will to get out of my place? Because usually I want to stay down. Why? Because there is some kind of pleasure in being a victim. A victim, it's like I'm in the center and now let's talk about me. And I didn't got what I was deserved. I didn't do what I had to do, and I'm suffering from self-accusation or whatever it will be. It's like in all of these, examples, I bring myself back to the center, and now let's talk about me and why there is a kind of pleasure in this way, because when I'm in the center, people talks about me, and it's like, it's nice that people put their hand on my shoulder or on my head and say, "Oh, what is happening to you?" And I'm like, I allow myself not to take responsibility. And whenever a person takes responsibility and decide to stand on his own hands, on his own legs, sorry, when he takes responsibility, it's hard. You have like to fight against all those voices that he has in him that calls him, no, don't do nothing, stay a victim, let other people work for you. It's like I have to be in charge of my life and to decide which direction I want to be. And it's very hard to open the window in order that the light will illuminate, will get into the room. So I have to make an effort and to sweat. And people usually do not want to sweat, do not want to to exercise, to work very hard. So in order to get out of depression, the first thing that we have to adopt, the first thing that we have to work on is the will. And even it's not like if you have a will or you don't have a will. There is something in the middle. Like, let's catch those moments that we have a little bit of a will and embrace them. And when we embrace them, let's use them. Use them for what? For pushing us forward. And that's the whole idea of this plan, of the booster, to catch those small wheels that we have in our life and to push ourselves in order to get out of this situation. And sometimes you work on yourself in a very tiny thing, like you uplift yourself in order to to do sport or to see someone else or to get out of yourself, and you see unbelievable change in your life. How could it be? Because all you had to do, just to do a small move, to take yourself out of the center, and then your whole perspective is being changed. And this is the role of this booster plan, as we call it. So how can you awake your will? What you have to do? So we said the first thing that you can do is to think about the damages, what you will suffer from if you will stay in this condition, and you will suffer. You are losing time. You are losing your potential. You are not doing what you can do. You are more than that. We said you will pay a price, a physical price. Illnesses. All the illnesses comes from what? From suffering from depression, from stress. They will make you ill because the soul is animates the body, and it's when the soul does not animate the body in the right way, comes illness. So, but usually it's not enough. Why listing the list of damages will not work for us? Think about someone that smokes. When you smoke, if you can read on the cigarette packet, you can read smoking will kill you. It's not, I don't know how it is in the United States, but in Israel you have to write a warning on the cigarette packet that smoking is unhealthy. Everyone knows that smoking is not healthy and could damage them severely, but still they are smoking. Why? Because listing the damages does not work on you. Why? Because usually you think it won't happen to you. Like, cigarettes is doing damages to the body, but it won't damage you. You do not believe you will suffer from the damages. Most people that that had cancer or whatever, you listen to them and they say, if I would just know, I wouldn't smoke from the beginning. But you knew it was written. People know that for 4 years, for 40, 50 years, maybe 60 years they didn't know. But now everyone knows. Still, you knew, but it didn't got into you. It's like you knew that cigarettes cause diseases, but cigarettes does not cause you being healed. And there is a difference. You have to make things connected to you. In Hebrew, it's called the power of knowledge, the power of that, to be connected. So usually damages, when I'm listing the damages, when I'm thinking about the bad things that could happen when I'm in depression, does not work on me because it will add to the depression. I will want to stay in my situation. I believe I do not, I'm not on the right direction. I will eat myself from self-accusation. In self-accusation, I will think, oh, I'm losing everything. I'm bad. What other way you can use in order to develop your will? Think or do a list of what you can benefit from getting out of it. You deserve more. You deserve more. You can reveal your inner powers and you can do more and you can create and write and think and influence other and enlighten your surroundings. And it's like it's a better way to be in. You deserve more than just being thinking only about yourself. And when you try to realize that there is more pleasure getting out of the depression than being in it. And someone can be upset on me when I saying depression and pleasure. I'm not talking about. I know it's very hard and it's all black and it's very heavy. I'm talking about the role that you have to adapt in order to get out of it. And sometimes we said there is something in staying in the middle in the dark room. Like understand it, it's not something, it's very hard to miss the point. It's very easy to miss the point. I want to stay in the middle of the room and just to deal with myself. It's very hard. It's very black. But there is a kind of, of pleasure in this craziness. And the pleasure comes from I am in the center. Let's talk about me. It's all about me. And it's very hard to get out of yourself, to see someone else, to see other reality, to see the world in a different way. It's very hard. And this is the purpose. And in order to do that, think about someone that has an addiction. We will talk about addictions in this plan. Think about someone that has an addiction, or they say today bad habit. There is kind of pleasure in the habit, in the addiction. There is illumination of pleasure. Otherwise, why would anyone stay with this addiction? There is pleasure in smoking cigarette, in smoking dope, or whatever it will be. There is kind of pleasure in seeing, undesirable movies, or unwanted, or those that catch you and you cannot get out of it. There is kind of pleasure. Without this pleasure, without this dopamine that get into your mind, you won't do that. You won't harm yourself. And in order to get out of it, you have to do two things. First, to see the pleasure in other places, in the day itself. Sometimes you're embracing addiction. Why? Because life is hard and there are a lot of challenges. And so I need this hour at night that I will smoke my cigarette, and then I forget about everything. I'm getting into a different life, different place. I'm not here now, and all the things that on my head, I can get it out of it even for 1 hour. But what happens when you are being addicted? You cannot see the beauty of the rest of the day. The only thing, the only beautiful, the only good thing in your day is this hour that you are smoking, and the whole day you are just waiting for that. And this is, and you give the cigarette the power to. This is the power of pleasure, and the pleasure is not from you, and really the pleasure comes from you. And in order to change it, you have to find the pleasure in life, not in the cigarette. The cigarette does not help you. What do you think? There is pleasure in cigarette. The cigarette, there is no pleasure in these boxes. The pleasure is in you. You just discover it in different ways. So learn how to discover it in different ways. So first thing is to take the pleasure out of the cigarette, the first thing. And the second thing is to discover the pleasure in you. So it's the same thing about undesirable emotions. Take the pleasure, the kind of pleasure. It's not the pleasure like we're talking about enjoying yourself. It's a pleasure of being around myself. It's talking about myself. And find it in different places. And telling yourself you deserve more and you can do more. I don't want to be, I want higher things in my life. I want life of a mission, of meaning. I want to do good things in this life. I don't want to think about myself. When I'm thinking about myself, it's very hard to get out of it. People will ask, what about our interests? I have interest in this and that, and I want to think about what I'm doing in life. The more you think about your interests, the less you implement them. Why? Think about a salesman. Think about a salesman that now you meet the salesman and you want to buy from him, I don't know, something like an electric machine or whatever it will be. If he will put his interest on the table and he will say to you, I want you to buy this product because I earn more from this product, you will feel that he's pushing to you things that he wants to push to you, and he does not pay attention to what you need. Even a salesman, when he put his interest aside and now he's trying to see what you need, he understands you. And when you feel that he's just pushing to you, you close yourself. You won't buy there. And when you feel that he's seeing you and see what you need, you will open yourself. And you will see, oh, here there is someone that understands me, and I will be ready to pay even more. So the best way to develop a will is to think about the benefits that I will gain from getting out of it. And really imagine myself doing things that I wanted when I'm getting out of depression. How can I save my marriage? When one of the persons, one of the spouse in the relationship is suffering from depression, it's very hard. It's very hard to deal with a friend, a spouse, to deal in a marriage when there is one suffering from depression. Why? Because he's all about himself. And he's like going down, and it's very heavy, and it's very hard to do for him to do things. And he's like reducing the amount of liveliness in his life. And we want not to decrease, to increase the amount of liveliness in our life. The whole game in this life is to have more life, more liveliness, more the soul animates the body. That's the most important thing. Without that, you can live your life, but it's life with very low amount of liveliness. So we said the first thing that we want to work on is how to develop our will in order to get out of those undesirable emotions. And firstly, we talk about depression. And in order to do that, let's think about the good things that we deserve. When I think about myself and the problems and the things that I have to face, it's hard for me to change my point of view. Everything is hard, and I don't see any hope. I should see the hope, and I should see how it will be when I will get out of it, and think about it. So I want you to make a list. This is the first assignment. Like take a notebook or something like that. It should be a very happy notebook, the happy notebook of Yehiel, and it should be not in colors. And in it, right, the first assignment is, why do I want to get out of the depression? And it's like when you think about why do you want, the will start to develop. Oh, now I understand. There is something, there is a pleasure, and the will serve that pleasure. There is a pleasure of getting out of myself. And what will be this pleasure? Pleasure of living life really to the fullest, getting out of myself and enjoying every moment, not only an hour at night when I'm smoking dope. The whole day long, I have things to gain from getting out of this depression, and the words need me. When I mean the word, could be my wife, my children, my work, my assignments. The world needs me, and this is the first understanding, the first thing that we have to work on. Make our will more clear, and when it will be more clear, to emphasize it. Says, this is what I really want. I don't want to be in the place that I always think about. I wanted to influence and people didn't receive. I wanted to give something for myself. I'm not tall enough. I'm not beautiful enough. Everything that I wanted didn't happen, and I feel miserable, and I'm a victim. You are not a victim of this reality. Nobody is a victim. And if you will stay a victim, nobody will be able to help you. You will stay in your place, and nobody will be able to push you from this place. You cannot stay a victim. You have to get out of this point of view. Why? Because when you are a victim, it's all about you. And when it's all about you, nobody will be able to help you. And when you are not a victim, that means that I'm not here in this place because of a mistake. There are no mistakes. And I didn't make a mistake. Everything I went through was in order that I will develop my inner powers. And this is the main target, the main challenge in our life, to develop, to discover our inner powers. And when I'm talking about inner powers, I'm talking mainly about discovering the right emotions, the emotions that will push you forwards and not take you backwards. That's the role of the emotions, to connect me to reality, to connect me to my spouse, to connect me to whatever I do, to connect me to my work. And what is undesirable emotions? Those are those emotions that push me backwards, like sadness, like depression. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to open the window. And the first mission is to want. Like, we are sending our hand. We are reaching our hand. Reach back your hand. Like, ask for help. There is nothing to be ashamed when you have depression. The opposite is the right. There is an opportunity. This fight that we have, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to what? To gain more light, more liveliness to your life, to uplift yourself, to go to another level, to discover what you can really do in your life, and to discover that you came to this world in order to develop yourself. And developing starts and ends in discovering the right emotions, the right feelings that will push you forward and not will take you backwards. And and always discovering the right emotions those emotions will be revealed when you are not in the center. Okay, in this meeting, in this video, we worked on, we try to thought about how to develop our will. In the next video, we'll talk about why it happens to me, why the depression comes to me, where it comes from, how, why, what is the nutrition that helps the depression to overcome me and to makes me feel so weak. And when I will understand why it happens to me, I will be able to know what steps should I adopt in order to overcome it and to get out of it. So the next video will be about how we should understand why it happens to us. And then the one that will come after it will be how we should go out, how we should overcome it. What are the rules? What are the road that we should adopt? We should walk. What is the road that we should walk on in order to get out of the depression? Thank you very much for listening to me. And you are more than welcome to share and subscribe to this channel. It's a growing channel. We have a similar channel in Hebrew, and this channel in English. You are more than welcome, and then you will be able to get the next video. See you next time.